All right, great. So hi, good morning, everyone. The question just came up, we're looking forward to getting the muscles and bones because it's hard to visualize that energy thing. And this, at least the cells we can grasp a little bit more, but
Yeah.
And then tissues are often hard because it's so weird conceptually, to me at least.
Yeah.
So I totally understand if you guys have challenge with those parts. Of course, they're part of the course, so we got to go with it. And it's important that we understand it and have a baseline. And it is interesting stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like it. It's just hard to grasp for many of us, especially the kinesthetic folk. And that's what we're going in now. We're going into the muscles and the bones. So now we're getting into things that we can touch, that we can see, we can palpate on our own body, even a lot of the times. And to me, that makes, that's the meat of the class, really, at the end of the day. But before we get into that, does anybody have any last questions on the test material that we're going through? You guys have till Thursday, I think, to finish it. I see a couple of people, a couple of you guys took it, and you guys did fantastic. So any questions, just butt in, ask them. I'm here to try to take, if there is anxiety, take as much away as possible. If you take the test, make sure you utilize the test review material. Have all those, printed out if you can, or at least handy to reference. It's an open book test. So I try to make it as easy as possible, but we do have to test the material. I need to make sure you guys understand what we're talking about. Good. So if anything comes up, just interrupt me and we can talk about the test. The other thing that I want to mention is we're getting into this muscle and bone stuff, and that's also where we start getting into the labs. And I'm sorry, I made last semester was the first time we went back to the lab, and I started the lab on the same week as I started the bones and the skull and the face on Monday, so nobody had the material done. So it makes more sense that we start the lab portion in terms of the in-person when we've already done the material. And then we come back, and then we physically touch it again and work through it. And so the weeks are sort of slightly behind. I want you to first process the material theoretically, and then we bring the lab into it. And so the week 5 through 9 are muscle and bone labs. So we go through the skull and the facial muscles first lab, and then we're going to do the skeletal first, and afterwards we go through the muscles, first the trunk muscles and then the extremity muscles. It should be a lot of fun. I enjoyed this section tremendously, and welcome any questions, as goofy as they are. Biomechanics as well. This is what my bread and butter is at my clinic, is muscle and bones. And then after that section, then we're going to have a test at some point. I'll talk about that as we get to this section 2 kind of thing of the class, because it's a little different. And then afterwards, we go through the cardiac system, cardiovascular system, the brain, and all the other stuff. And we'll meet back in the lab a few more times to do a few dissections. So we do heart dissection, we do brain dissection, we do an eye. These are all sheep or cow. And then we do a kidney as well. And that gives us a good tactile experience of different tissues, how brain feels different than muscle feels different than, a kidney is a very different structure. And of course, an eyeball is a specific, very specific. Usually that's kind of cool. Well, they're actually all good. Again, these labs are not mandatory, they're optional. You can come or not come. I would like to get a head count because I got to organize the material. So if I keep reaching out to you guys, please send me back a yes or no. I am going to be part of it, or I'm not going to be part of it. Some things that I videotape, and you can view later on to integrate the material. But it's always sort of the same material in a different little format, in a different way of describing it. So if you get it, then you don't have to watch all the stuff. So the lab, the first portion of the lab doesn't really give you extra points. It just gives you extra experience, makes it easier to grasp the material. And then for the dissections, I do give points, but those are extra credit points. And so you don't have to, I still want to be very sensitive to folk that also, you know, still feel a little crappy about the pandemic and all that. So we want to be, or, you know, a lot of us went through stuff. So I want to make sure you don't feel obligated, but I welcome it. It's a great experience. I love being back in a classroom with people. It's a different experience than online. Not to minimize online, it's also positive because we have much more time management ability through that, I think. And if, depending on the amount of students, I generally meet on Monday. And then if we have enough students, or depending on the folks' schedule, we also meet on Wednesday. My hope is that we have enough students that we have both 2 classes. They don't need to be full. I don't want them full, but I also need a few more than 1 or 2 students that we can have a class in the discussion and so forth. The first week is President's Day. Next Monday is not going to be school. We will do a Zoom for the people who want to do a Zoom. I'm always record, so because that way we keep that steady, and it's really a whole week thing. But lab, we will not be there. So next week we'll only be there on Wednesday. All right. So that's, why can I not see anybody? Or I see everybody or nobody? Anyway. So that's for the lab. Do you guys have any questions to that? No? All right. Well, if not, then let's go to, you guys can see me here?
Oh,
My screen?
I have a question.
Yes, Umberto.
Oh, thank you, doctor. The test is going to be in Canvas like we are doing, or other tests?
Always, yes. The tests are always in Canvas. So the first test you see right here, that's the one you guys are working on. You know, to review, make sure you guys look at this, or best print this out, the PDF. This is all that's on the test. All right, if you have that next to you and you understand all those bullet points, you're good. And the students who took them, the few students who took them already, they've been good. If you have technical problems, reach out to me, you know, don't stress that part. We can work that out. The internet sometimes goes down, or, you know, we'll figure those things out. The test is in here. It's like, you see this symbol here? It's like, that's a quiz format symbol. So it's like all these questions after the lectures that we do, they're the same thing. So they're like, it's like this, you press start somewhere. I think it's on the top somewhere, and then it just gives you these questions and you answer them. You don't have the ability to go back over and over on this test. So that's the only difference, right? And it's also timed. So that's why I want you the material in front of you, next to you, or on another device that you can reference back and forth. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, doctor.
Oh, you're welcome. Absolutely. Any other questions? If not, we can move right into this whole section now. See, we're going to start a skull, the facial muscles. Then we do a little joints, and we do the skeleton, the whole skeleton. Axial refers to the body part, the trunk type, the middle of the body, and then appendicular refers to the extremities in the skeletal, as well as in the muscles. And then we go week 6, we start going through muscle function first, and then the trunk muscles. I do the facial muscles with the skull because that's a very different, they're still the same muscles, but most muscles attach from bone to bone, and they move bones around. Like the arm or so. The facial muscles, they move skin around that we can make facial expressions mostly. And then we have muscles deep that do the jaw motion, of course, we go through those also. But I do them in sort of separate from all the other muscles. So and then after the trunk muscle, we'll go to the upper extremities and the lower extremities. And then we have a test on that. And again, the test is going to be in Canvas. This second test is a fill in the blank test. So what you do with that, you go through the test review, and this test review is quite expansive, because what we have here, we have a list of terms. So every chapter now will give you terms that you need to learn and need to know where they are. And so this term list 1 gives you all the terms for the second test on that one page. I know it looks like a lot, but you're working through it over a few weeks. So, and you can always reference them back. Every test is open book, right? So you make sure you know where these are. And what we're going to do in this section, let me go back. How can I not go back? Oh, there you go, close. What we're going to do, well, let me finish this real quick. And so that's one thing that you want to have. If you can print it out. Otherwise, just have it on a screen, or make your own list, or have flashcards. This is a great flashcard situation here. And then I also have review videos on this. And I go through, look at that, I was a little younger. I go through all the bones and all the muscles and point to all the terms that we need to know on that. And so you can review those. Some students, they just watch these videos over and over when it comes closer. And then the third is I hope this link works. This is a fairly big file. I did this right before the pandemic, and I took pictures of all the models that we're going to go back to class now, but these are all the models that we use on the test. And when you then see the test in this section, then is done in a fashion where I ask you, I put a label here, like a number, and I say, name this muscle. And then you look on the list and you say the muscle, and then you write down that muscle in the free space. And and then I go through that test and hand grade it. It self-grades it, but I hand grade it, because if you misspell it, I don't want to ding you for that. All right. This is a good topic to, if you have enough ink, just print it out if you want. It's 14 pages. If not, just have it on a device or so to reference back. The cool thing about this is these are the models I use on the test. So that way you familiarize yourself with those models. So that's the test review material that I want you to, again, test review stuff, start looking at that now when we start the topic, not just right before the test. All right, and again, questions, just butt in and ask, because I might forget something. So the first thing we're going to do this week is then we go through the skull and the facial muscles. You're already familiar with having videos and then having questions. And then every more or less activity has a discussions. In these discussions, you don't need to do more than just describe, answer the questions that are in there and interact with each other a little bit, because I want to make sure we have as much conversation and learn from each other's stuff. And so the cell model is kind of cool. I mean, I had somebody do a 3D model that they could turn on the computer, and I could move it around. I had no idea how to do that, but stuff like that is incredible. And so if you look at each other's a little bit, that kind of is for that. And then every chapter now from this point forward has a coloring and a labeling activity with it. And in there, let's go in there real quick. Let me see. I got to do student view. All my pink stuff. I love my pink. Oh, why are these videos not up here again? I got to still do those again. Sorry about that. The links sometimes break and I have to redo the links. So I have to do this. If anything like that shows up on you and I missed it, just shoot me a text. So these chapters now all have videos that you can watch that I describe the stuff on a model. And then I have a list of terms that go with each of the sections. And then I have ways that you can work that. You can print out a piece, this sheet of paper. If you bought the material, it's all in the material. It's in the booklets. Or you can also annotate this on the computer or on an iPad or something like that. And what I want you to do is I want you to take, and this is always going to be the same for all these chapters, I want you to take these bones and these landmarks. When I look at bones, I have whole bones. The skull's actually not just one bone. There's a lot of bones in the skull. Look at all of these. And then each bone has different parts to it, and I'm naming the part also. We call those landmarks. So we have a bone and a landmark. Each of these terms, and then later on we get the muscles. Each of these terms, I want you to label one time on these sheets, and then I want you to color it. That way we reiterate what we're doing. So let's say it says the frontal bone. The frontal bone is in the front of the head. That's actually easy to remember. You color that bone. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's just that we spend a little time on it, and you write in frontal bone, or make a line and write frontal bone, or do it on a flashcard. You can trace this. You can, print out a picture somewhere and do it yourself. As long as you name it, you color it. I mean, the ideal is you trace the picture or you draw it on a flashcard, and then what you can do is you can take pictures of the flashcards, and that's what you turn in. And then you have your studies already created. And I can take that as long as I find all those terms on those pictures that you make. So that's basically how these next few weeks work. Let me get out of here. So we have these, the lessons, the questions, and the colorings. And then, of course, always the tips and stuff in the back at the end of the week, and a few separate activities, discussions, as well discussions. So we are finishing, this is the last week of the health challenge. How's that going for you guys? Are you getting tired of it? Silence.
I just left the gym.
Oh, there you go. Good for you. Yeah.
But I only did, not to put y'all in my business, but I'm on my cycle, and so I just used my own body weight today instead of doing what I normally do.
That's perfect.
And even still, I have a little bit of pain that I never felt before, but it's all a work in progress. I have to get used to this.
Yeah, be sure, don't be too aggressive. Make sure you work it in and have a little cardio, have a little weight, and that's fine if it's your own body weight. It doesn't need to be weight.
Yeah, I always start off with the treadmill to warm up.
Good, perfect. No, that's perfect. And so we're doing this one more week, either the water, the exercise, or the meditation. Keep checking in with each other a little, and then we're closing that out at the end of this week as a group activity. Of course, my hope is that some of you keep going if it has some good results. And then we're going to start having a few different health kits that we're doing. And so, well, this is the end of the other one. And we're gonna do a home office ergonomic evaluation. So we're gonna do that week 5. And that's looking at your workstation and seeing, I'm going to talk about a few things that some of you might start with that early. I talk about a few things that are, again, these links, I got to check all those links. A few things that are important about sitting, and then some tips, and then you evaluate your own workstation. And then I have a few stretches that I want you to check out and see what you might like or not. Again, trying to bring the material that we study to your learning experience and bring it down to real life and not just a theoretical concept. So we have an ergonomic eval, and then I think week 7 or 6, we have a posture evaluation. So you look at your posture and evaluate that, and have a few tips on that stuff. And then we finish up with a 2-week thing that's an injury prevention eval, where I have you go through a few things like balancing and have comparative data and these are orthopedic tests that we're going to do in there, have comparative data to see how you are doing and how your body is doing in that region. Like, for example, if your balancing is not that great, which happens when we get older, that's an important factor to work on, because if you can't balance, you fall, you injure yourself. Same as things like squatting or core muscles. And so we have an array of tests that I want you guys to go through when we talk about the muscles. And just to also make it useful, because these are things actually that the Swiss Olympic team uses for as orthopedic tests to make sure their baseline is taken care of and they're not missing things like, the hamstring is too tight and then they pop a hammy or so, things like that. So I found that quite useful as an activity. We'll do that week 7 and 8. And then that's pretty much more or less how this next section is going to look or is going to work. It's a little bit different.
Is that including the labs for week 5?
When we go into the lab, then we're going to process week 5 lab. We're going to process what we learned this week. So in the lab, we're going to take out the skulls, going to take out the facial muscles, going to talk about it again, go through it. I go to the tables and talk to you about it. You can ask me questions. And we have that tactile experience to integrate the information.
Okay.
And then we do that week 5 through 10, and then we have that test. And then afterwards, we come back, I think week 11, we do a heart dissection. Then we do those dissections at the end of the semester.
So test 1 is coming this week, right?
Yeah, test 1 is this week.
This
Got
week.
any questions to that?
No, I really do appreciate how that everything is open book, because that's how I'm able to really get my tests done. Because if it were for memory, I don't think I'd be making it. But
do you understand? You feel like you're understanding the material?
Yes,
then?
definitely. I definitely understand the material. It's just me being a mom and having to remember so many other things.
Oh, yeah.
It's complicated, right?
Yeah,
so I do appreciate that. And the how you have the course laid out in general is a huge help as well. And how you could just click on a section or a tab and it goes to it and explains everything. It's laid out perfectly.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, I've been working hard on that, because it should be a really good experience. It's about your
And
body.
I like the extra humor up in the videos too. It keeps me going. I said,
get that Swiss German in a little bit.
Yes, I love it. I really do. I love your accent. I love how you do your videos. Even watching videos that you recorded from 2020, I'm like, yo, this is funny as hell. He should actually start like a YouTube channel or something. But it was really cool. I do appreciate it. It's having fun and learning at the same time. I always love that. You make it fun for us. It's not a boring concept. Well, none of them are.
A class should make you want to be part of that field, not be pushed away from it, because it's
right.
It's not oil and vinegar. It works together. Well, I'm glad. Anybody else have a comment or questions?
Hi, I just wanted to know, are we doing the in-person lab next Monday? Because next Monday is President's Day.
That's right. We will. That's right. We will start. So next week, I know, of course, I didn't realize it's President's Day. It's also my birthday, actually.
So happy early birthday.
But we're going to do next week for Wednesday for sure.
Okay.
So we have to do Wednesday next week. And then by then, I also know the numbers best. So yeah, if you tuned in a little later, make sure in the labs. So we don't go in this week. We start next week. And give me a head count on a text. I'm going to keep sending texts out who would like to come and who doesn't. But send me also if you can. That way I get a head count. Or if you're a maybe, you don't have to. I just need more or less to understand of then how do I organize it. And
okay. And then where is it located at Merritt?
Oh, that's a good question, huh? You know Merritt?
Yeah, but it's been a while.
So
I'm here right now.
The science building at Merritt is the S building.
Okay.
It's the one behind the cafeteria and behind the administration buildings. So it's on the
It's the S
on the
building,
right side.
not the D building.
No, the D building is a
Okay.
long time. Yeah, it's the S building. It's on the right
Okay.
side of the campus.
Okay, so you drive in, you go around to the right and you go
Mhm.
like to the back. It's the newer building, right? Like a glass kind of building? Okay.
Yes, it's that building. And what you want to do, ideally, you actually go and drive to the back of that building. So don't park on the right side parking lot. You can, but if you go behind it, you have another parking lot on the left side. And because the room is at the basement, or not at the
Okay.
basement,
Near
the
it's
first
near
level.
the A building.
Yes, it is exactly near that building. And
Yeah, I go there every day.
it's S210. And so it's at the bottom floor, and
Yep.
it's the first room on the right side when you walk into the right side.
Okay.
And I can send out a map
Okay, thank you.
as we get closer. No, I'm glad. Sorry, because I forget these kind of things. All right. Anybody else? Questions this week? Test?
Did you so that pad wall thing you have us working on or commenting on, you have to sign in initially to see that you actually posted a post. Otherwise, it'll post as anonymous.
Yeah, that's why I asked to put the name in.
Yeah, because I
Because
signed
for
in
some
on
people,
one.
it's hard. For some people,
Mhm.
it's hard to sign in somehow, and for some, it's easy. And
Yeah, it was
and that way, I
complicated.
don't need to make the sign in really an issue. If you can sign in, just put your name in the thing. Just put the parentheses in, or write your name on.
Well, what I will add is that they're asking for us to use our school email. So if they're not using their school email, they're going to continue to have a hard time logging in there.
Yeah, and I hope I wrote that. I think so.
You
Yeah,
just said have your
you-
student ID number. You didn't say student email.
Oh, it's the email. I thought it was the ID.
No,
Okay. No, I
well,
can-
initially the student email is the student ID number, but you have to add at symbol cc.peralta.edu. So if people
Okay.
aren't using it, they should actually use it because it'll keep things separate from your personal and business life. And also you'll have all that allocated to that email instead of going to your personal one. I think it's less
Yeah, I know.
complicated.
It gets complicated also because people have so many different emails. So if you can,
Right.
that's great. If you can't sign in, just if you put your name in parentheses, then we know who we talk to. Okay. And the first couple of weeks, I gave everybody some points, and then after a few weeks, we're going to be more specific on that because I do want you to interact on that Padlet, and it's about half the group right now who does. So all of a sudden, if you don't get points anymore, then you know why. But we're working it in. It's a full experience altogether. All right. So what else? Anything else? Any other questions? Because I think I'm pretty good here. If you guys are good, we can close it out early.
I'm hearing crickets.
Me too. That way, I wish you guys a great week. If you have any questions, text me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is Hanan.
Hi, Hannah.
Yeah, can you check all the exam? Some is I get confused. I didn't written perfectly.
On what?
The assignment and
Which assignment are you talking?
if you see it, I returned it before yesterday, and yesterday is some confused. I don't know if it's correct or not, but I submitted it already.
Okay, but it's not the test, right? It's an assignment.
Not the test assignment.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look at it. At it. I'm sure we're
Okay.
going to work that out. And if it's a problem, we'll text with each other.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right. If nobody else, we can call it a week.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you,
guys.
doctor.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.